everybody, and welcome to your very first round of month ahead forecasts on my channel. I'm so excited to start something new. I'm at a new place. This is like a new filming studio, if you will, and I can't wait to kind of change up my offerings a little bit. And before we begin, I do want to tell you a little bit about that. First and foremost, my name is Yelena Crawford, so welcome back to anyone and everyone that was a previous subscriber. Thank you guys so much. And for anybody that hasn't met me yet, welcome. I'm very happy to have you here. And this is kind of what my channel is going to look like moving forward. So if you were not a previous subscriber, you don't need to worry about what it used to be, but I kind of have a little bit of a new content strategy. So I'm going to be getting rid of my weekly forecast completely, and I'm going to start the month couple days prior to each new month. I'm going to push out forecast videos, which are month ahead forecasts, which is what this is, for all 12 zodiac signs. So you guys can know ahead of time exactly what's happening. And if you weren't already aware, I do offer a written monthly forecast as well. And it's general. It's not by zodiac sign. It's basically all about the collective and the energies that are happening in the month ahead, which can really help you to have that written paper, right? So if you are interested in signing up for my free written cosmic guide, is what I call it, you can go to my website, yelenacrawford.com, and a little pop-up box will come up on the screen where you can enter your email address. But I promise not to spam. I don't really send a whole lot. I maybe inform you guys of new videos or any new offerings I might have or whatever, but that's pretty much it. And then on top of these monthly forecasts, what I plan to do is obviously full and new moon videos, you know, and horoscopes for those as they come along. But also I want to start breaking down significant transits throughout the month. So as the energies are kind of coming in and passing, I want to really dive in and hone in and talk about those as they come along, so we can kind of follow the transits together. So I want to make this really interactive. I may end up doing a lot of lives for some of these things too, but I will definitely make sure to let you guys know ahead of time. And then another one of my offerings is on Instagram, and I've been really kind of amping that up, and I've been doing daily astrology updates. So if you guys really want to follow the astrology on a daily basis as you learn and as it helps you with your own life, then I would highly suggest adding me over at Yelena Crawford Astrology on Instagram as well. I'm going to have stories and daily posts so you guys can keep up to date with the astrology in many different ways. Also, this is a general forecast, and I want to make that very clear that yes, I'm breaking this down by your rising sign. So that kind of sets up the chart, and I'm able to kind of see some of the in and out energies and the different themes that might be brought into focus for you over the next month. But your individual birth chart is what gets activated by these transiting energies. And our birth charts are all completely different. So while this might be hitting somebody and really bringing out positive potential with some of these transits, it could also be really exacerbating a negative portion of someone else's chart. So just keep that in mind. And if you are someone who is maybe navigating big changes and you want to make more sense of it, then contact me for a personal reading. I would highly suggest getting a reading with me or whatever astrologer you deeply resonate with. You can also do that through my website, yelenacrawford.com. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all the announcements for right now. So let's get into the forecast. All right, happy April, Leo. I'm really excited to kind of dive a little bit deeper into your personal horoscope for the month ahead. So let's see here. I would say some general themes that I want to touch on just before we really dive a little bit deeper. It looks like there's a lot of emphasis on the topics of teaching, higher learning and education, potentially travel for some people, as well as a mixture of partnership, home life, very busy energy in the career department, and maybe even bringing topics in related to healing, joint finances, and debts or obligations that we have to other people. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of busyness this month, potentially the need to restructure some things. So let's dive in so maybe we can get a better understanding together and you can wrap your mind around this a little bit more. So we start off the month on April 1st with a new moon in the sign of Aries. And this is a new beginning where we are maybe starting a new project or embarking upon some new territory of learning, higher learning, education, expansion spiritually, right? So this is like the house of the higher mind, our consciousness. There could be something that's growing and developing within you that very much has to do with your healing process and having faith in your ability to truly execute what it is that you do out in the world related to teaching, related to sharing a wealth of information, related to sharing your wisdom with other people, and your abilities to learn and take in information as well. So there's Chiron is here, and this new moon is happening directly next to Chiron and Mercury. So that makes it even more associated with learning, the mind, processing of information, decision making. So maybe for some of you, you are literally deciding to take on a new course, or maybe you're given an opportunity to teach something, or maybe for some of you, you are going to be traveling abroad or something like that. And there's some new opportunity that could be tied in with a deeper healing, right? Or a graduation from a previous healing. Chiron is still at the same degree that it has been at for a while. So this is not necessarily brand new energy in the healing department, but this could be really restoring your faith and your abilities, and your ability to stand in your own sense of independence and courageousness. So yeah, that's really interesting energy. I really like that new moon for you. Now, we usually see the fruition of a new moon come to be somewhere near the end of the month, could be like a signpost of it, or you could, receive little sprouts of manifestation, but usually it's 6 months later when we have the full moon in the same sign. So 6 months later, full moon in Aries, you may really start to see something come to fruition related to what is being seeded right now. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. I really like that. Now, on the other hand, as this energy is happening on April 1st, we also have an energy that's really brewing up that we've kind of been working with already, related to our partnerships. This could be partnerships that are business related. This could be relationships with teachers. This could be any type of work related boss, person who holds a position of authority. It could be contracts that you're involved with that are work related. And we've got Mars, which is the ruler of that lunation, the ruler of that new moon, which is in this interesting dynamic. It's about to hit Saturn. And these are known as the two malefic planets in astrology. And this is actually happening in your 7th house, which I said is associated with your relationships. It could be work related, authority related. It could be related to your contracts. This could also have some sort of relation to the marriage partner, or any very intimate, conscious, chosen connections that we have with another person. So it almost feels like there is some stress that's starting to build in this area. And this might be an area that's already had stress and tension. I mean, you have had Saturn transiting this house. That can be a little bit more of a restrictive energy when it comes to these types of things, but maybe this is a stress or a tension that requires you to restructure something relative to some of your contracts and negotiations out in the world, some of your business related contracts, or something needs to maybe be restructured, or there's maybe some type of fight or something like that that comes to be with a marriage partner because of all this energy that's going on out in the world for you, because you are so busy with your career and everything that you have going on. So, your drive, your energy and motivation to do what you want to do, especially related to teaching matters, or it could even have relation to home, things that are going on in the home as well. It's almost as if you're trying to push something forward, or you're trying to make progress. You feel motivated. You feel like you want to initiate something. You feel like you want to start something. And you could feel really gung-ho and passionate. And then somehow at this point on April 4th, you hit a wall, or you are faced with the reality of a situation, or you have to get more serious, disciplined, determined, and dedicated. But this could be on one level very strong energy that helps you get more disciplined, right? About what it is that you're doing related to your home life, your career, teaching related matters, as well as your partnership and your relationship with yourself as well. So this is affecting all of your angles, and it is kind of a stress-filled, tension-filled dynamic because it's squaring the nodes, which are in your 10th and your 4th house. So there's naturally an emphasis here to expand in career-related matters, okay? But we also want to make sure that you're still paying attention to everything and trying to balance it out in a way that's going to be most beneficial for you. Because the empty part here of this whole dynamic is the first house, which is you. So I think it's going to be important that you maintain balance so that you don't burn yourself out, because this Aries season energy typically tends to be very fiery, where we get a lot going. But if we do overdo it, things can fizzle and we can burn out, and that can, really put a wrench in things when you're trying to accomplish. So just keep an eye out for this. This is an interesting dynamic. If there are some frustrations that you come up against, just know that this T square that is forming, ultimately it is for some of you, especially if it's going to be anybody, I would say between 15 and 25 degrees, or we'll just say 15 to 29 degrees, Leo rising or any other Leo placements, that's going to be hitting you directly. It's opposing you in your chart. So this is really going to have to require you to get serious, restructure, and maybe make some significant changes with all of the significant areas of your life. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that one. But let's go ahead and move on to something a little bit more positive, because while all of this tension and stress is building up that is requiring change or requiring you to pivot in some way, and you could feel like you don't want to. You could feel fixed because this is all fixed energy, right? So that can be a little bit more challenging in itself. You've got a lot of fixed energy probably in your chart. That's where all your angles are for the most part, considering you have your midheaven and IC and Taurus and Scorpio. But what's happening at the same time is kind of magical. We've also got this dynamic going on. And of course, every energy is a spectrum. So we're going to talk about a side that could be less than magical as well. But Jupiter and Neptune are coming into a conjunction. And before this happens, we've got Venus, which is the planet of magnetism, our own personal magnetism. It's the planet of our interpersonal relationships. It rules your career house. It also rules your house of siblings and relatives and your local community and writing and communication. So Venus is going to be moving into a sign that she loves to be in, where she is celebrated after going through quite a challenging dynamic in the relationship sector, being put under a lot of tension, stress, all of these types of things. On April 5th, it's almost as if there's some sort of relief with this whole thing, because she moves into Pisces in your 8th house. The 8th house does have an affiliation with healing. So maybe there is an opportunity here to do some deep healing, to face some of your fears, to have a better relationship with your fears. Maybe you're able to work through that and have an opportunity to understand yourself more on a deep psychological level. Something could be developing here with you doing 8th house related things, maybe in the career sector. So I don't know, maybe some of you are actually speaking with a therapist, or maybe you have an opportunity to speak with an astrologer, or you are an astrologer and you're doing tarot, astrology, occult related sciences. This could be psychology related things, hypnotherapy that could be very, very helpful during this time. I can also see connections somehow with the marriage partner that could be a little bit more beneficial. Maybe there's something that's going on with the partner's career or your career that benefits joint financial ventures of some sort. This could also bring a really positive energy where maybe some debt is going to be dissolved as well, because if we move further into the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, Jupiter is a very expansive planet. It brings opportunity, luck, abundance. It does exacerbate whatever it touches, and it is touching Neptune. And Neptune sometimes can have a dissolving effect, which on one hand, for some, if it's nicely aspecting areas of your chart, maybe it is that you're paying off debt. Maybe it is that you are going through, for some of you, maybe a process of experiencing a death of some sort. This could be very much related to a relationship that you have with your children. Maybe some of you have children that are growing up or kind of entering a new developmental stage in life or something. And, that is dissolving and developing into something completely different. Maybe your children are going through a spiritual awakening or undergoing something. It could, for some, be a traumatic circumstance that leads to a development spiritually. There could, for some, unfortunately, be passing, because Neptune is very much affiliated with things that exit this realm, right? And I can see this being a possibility with the 8th house being associated with death, and Pisces having that affiliation with, you know, other realms and leaving the body and everything like that. So it's either there could be a death, there could be a major transformation that's going on here that's related to your children, your relationship with your children, your sex life, how you experience romance. Since you've had a lot of development going on in the partnership sector as well, there could be some developments with these things as well. So I'm trying to give you a multitude of different ideas of how this could play out. On one hand, this is very magical energy. So maybe some of you are having very psychic things happen to you. Like your psychic gifts could potentially be opening up a little bit further. And maybe that's something that you do as a hobby that you're wanting to figure out how to maybe expand that and make it a career, right? Because we've also got Venus, the ruler of your career house here as well. Or maybe that's something that's just happening very naturally for you. Some people literally could have like outer body NDE kinds of experiences that open up things within them. This is a brand new Jupiter Neptune cycle. So this could be something, whatever's being set in motion right now, that carries you for a very long time. Okay. So this is ultimately really interesting energy in the 8th house. So I think I'm going to leave it there, but yeah, I'll let your mind kind of go wherever it would like to with that. Then we're going to move into another dynamic that's a little bit more stress or tension filled through the month. Luckily, it's just a passing energy. It's the full moon that's going to be taking place in Libra, which creates a square, T-square actually, because a full moon is the sun opposite the moon in the chart, which is going to be taking place between your Libra and Aries houses. And for you, Leo, that's your 3rd and 9th house. So there's something that needs to be acknowledged, brought to light, maybe potentially a crisis moment of some sort where a shift and change needs to take place. This could also be something coming to fruition or culminating, maybe even from the new moon in Libra that happened 6 months prior during Libra season. So that's what? I want to say end of October or end of September that begins. So think back to that time period. For some of you, that could very well be something that's coming to fruition, culminating, manifesting. But this 3rd and 9th house axis is an axis of education. It's also the axis that has to do with writing and publishing and communicating and our own mind and our relationship that we have to that mind. So there could be something that maybe, let's see here, since there is a T-square that's forming between this axis and Pluto, which is in your 6th house, this could be maybe challenging communications that come up where things are not balanced and things could potentially not be fair or just related to work-related matters. This could be with your coworkers. This could be with employees, if you have employees. There could be some power struggles here, toxic behaviors that really need to be released. This could very well be associated with your physical health as well. So maybe there's something going on with the mind, anxiety, tension, stress, that because you've got some stuff going on physically. So maybe this is something that needs to be where you take your power back and take care of your physical body, because that has everything to do with our energetic field and how we have a positive relationship with our mind and the way that our mind operates as well. I've learned that through the practice of yoga and how powerful controlling the body can be to controlling the mind and how strong that can make you. This could also be for some, since there's so much energy that's going on and amping up throughout the month with work-related matters and lots of busyness. The 3rd and 6th house tends to be very busy houses. So it's almost as if maybe there's something that's being brought up here about how you execute things in your daily work environment. Because the 3rd house is like our daily tasks. Sending out mail, answering emails, writing things, text messages, our schedule. So it's almost as if something here is needing to be restructured or reorganized or acknowledged in some way and changed, related to how you organize your daily work environment. Maybe something happens that's a little bit more stressful where you're like, okay, I need to make a change, or something needs to be transformed here with what I'm doing work-wise, or what I'm doing health-wise, or what I'm doing nutrition-wise. So just keep an eye out for this dynamic. I'm not exactly sure how that'll play out for you, but that at least will hopefully give you a little bit more insight on this. And then as we progress, that is April 16th when that full moon takes place. And that's at 26 degrees. So keep an eye out. And if you have any planets or points, especially around that 16-degree marker of, let's see. Actually, what's nice about this is for a lot of you, if you have any planets or points between, I would say like 9 to 21 degrees, Leo, this will be nicely aspecting your ascendant. So whatever this is going to really help to shape and change you and make you more confident with what it is you're trying to execute out in the world. So I do like this lunation. The stress can really help you to get more organized in your life, feel more confident about yourself on a mental and hopefully physical level as well. Okay, and then we've got Taurus season that begins on April 19th, Leo. And obviously, Taurus season is always a very big time for you where you could be put in the spotlight, which is something a lot of Leos really enjoy. It helps them to continue pursuing their passions and really truly shining, which is exactly what they're supposed to do here on this planet. But what's difficult about it is that whenever the sun moves through Taurus, which is the 10th house, your career house, it's the most public part of your chart where you can be seen, acknowledged, all of those things. But that actually squares a lot of your everybody's ascendant at some point during the month, which can bring the need for change. It can bring some sort of inner tension. It can bring a difficulty that comes from some outside source where somehow an adjustment needs to be made, and a shift in the personality, a shift in your relationship with authority figures, a shift in what you're doing out in the world. Something may need to be restructured at some point during the month. But that's just one little side note. Ultimately, what happens is that the sun really brings a lot of light, which is your chart ruler. So it's even more important for you because the sun rules you. You are what gives life to the world. So this is your time to shine, Leo. So again, this begins on April 19th, Taurus season. That's your public house. And a lot of you could potentially, maybe it's something you're teaching, or maybe it's something you've been learning, or maybe it doesn't have anything to do with that at all, and it's just very work related. And you are putting yourself out there. You're finally receiving acknowledgement. You are being seen in ways you've never been seen before. And it's really liberating, really exciting. There could be some significant developments in growth and change with your career that really help to push you into a new, more refined version of yourself. We do have the sun going to be moving into a conjunction eventually with the North Node and Uranus, and that is going to be a solar eclipse at the end of the month, which we'll talk about in a moment. And that can be very, very pivotal because that is really nice energy. So just keep an eye out for that. That is also going to be activating for a lot of you. It'll be hitting your midheaven, which is another career point in the chart, but it's also square to your relationship part again. So this is very relational, having to do with our relationships with people on the outside, our contracts and negotiations, our obligations. So yeah, there could be a lot of excitement, but a lot of stress potentially throughout the month as well, right? But stress is what helps us to have breakthroughs and make changes and really move forward in our lives. So keep that in mind as well. Also, just to bring this into focus for you, it's not a huge deal this month, but we have a Mercury retrograde, which is going to be starting next month on May 10th. And Mercury moves through what's called its shadow, beginning this month on April 26th. And the shadow period oftentimes sets up circumstances that we will be working through or dealing with in the actual retrograde period itself. So it's nice to be very observant and aware when we're moving through the shadow period. So Mercury rules the mind, communication, processing of information, speech, learning, development, all of those kinds of things. And it is career related in some ways. For you, this is specifically going to be career related. It's going to affect the groups that you're involved with, your friends usually that are related to what you're doing with your career, right? Or people that can help you in some way with your career aspirations. This is also very tied to your goals, your long range goals. And it has something to do with things that we gain out in the world. And so what's going to be happening is this retrograde is going to be going from Taurus to Gemini, Gemini to Taurus, and back to Gemini. So that's back and forth between your 11th and 10th house. Career, goals, people that help us, all of these things are coming to the forefront. So there could potentially be some reorganizing, restructuring, rethinking, replanning, rebudgeting that has to do with all of these things. Rebudgeting, maybe like restructuring your pricing if you have offerings out to the world, because Mercury also rules your second house of money and finances. So there may be some discussions here. Maybe you have to rediscuss your the money that you make with a boss or something like that. You know, there's different things that could be coming into focus here. Maybe you have to make a purchase. Maybe it's an electronic or maybe something like that, because that full moon could very well affect your electronics, your computers and everything on April 16th as well, because your third house is very much the devices that we have, computers, phones, all of those things. So maybe something happens and you have to purchase something new. So who knows? I mean, it's redoing things, it's going back over something, just like the retrograde actually is. So just be aware of that. Keep an eye out for it. We're going to be moving through the shadow April 6th to May 10th. So we'll talk more about the retrograde next month. I just want you to be aware. Then on rounding out the month, we've got Pluto stationing to go retrograde, which is ending the streak of all planets direct. This is happening on April 29th, like right at the end of the month. And this is not any strange energy to you, because, or anyone for that matter, because Pluto's been moving through your 6th house, Capricorn house of health, physical body, our daily routines, habits, patterns, and tendencies, as well as your daily work environment and your relationship with your coworkers or your employees. So Pluto has really been restructuring a lot here. It's been transforming you on a very deep level. It's been helping you to shed and release things that no longer serve you. There could have been time periods of health issues with this transit for some of you. And, you know, really what's happening is this is going to be retrograding between 26 to 28 degrees of Capricorn. So it's not making a direct aspect to your ascendant. For those of you with ascendants between 26 to 28 degrees of Leo, it will actually be an in conjunction. So whatever's going on in the workplace, some of these deep transformations that could be taking place, or a lot of the inner work that you might be doing, you know, I don't think it has a huge significant impact on you, Leo. I don't think it's going to be something that's like something you really need to worry about. It's not making squares or, you know, oppositions or anything, but just keep an eye out for that. Like some of you, if you have points or planets there, you might notice a shift in energy where you're being asked and called to transform a little bit more on a very internal level. There could be some more purging related to relationships with coworkers or relationships with bosses or work-related matters that need to be worked through a little bit more. So just keep an eye out for that. That's not a super huge energy for you specifically. And then we have a Taurus solar eclipse that ends the month, April 30th. It's eclipse season, baby. You're going to be feeling this as the month proceeds because it really starts to amp up come mid-month especially. This is a partial eclipse, but because your angles, 1st, 7th, 10th, 4th house in your chart are fixed signs, this is very significant for you, this entire eclipse cycle that's going to last until the summer, July of 2023. This is very, very much affecting the houses of work, how you're seen and known publicly, your reputation, your status out in the world, and your home and family life, your place of living, and your deep emotional nature, your private life. All of those kinds of things are definitely subject to change, and change that could happen quickly. This eclipse specifically is going to be happening at 10 degrees in Taurus, and it's going to be making squares to your ascendant and descendant, and for some of you, your IC, which is your home spot. This is with Uranus. Sudden developments that are very fated and karmic that could help you to grow or evolve and step further onto a destined path, right? Things that you chose prior to coming to this planet, before incarnating. You know, if that resonates with you, it doesn't have to. But usually when we have things that are associated with Uranus, it can be sudden and it can be quick developments. Yes, eclipses typically play out over the course of a 6-month time period. So this will be something that's developing all summer. There could be a big surge, a big change and push of some big development that occurs, I would say end of July moving into August. We've got another huge activation of this eclipse. But for the most part, you could see something developing already. This is a solar eclipse, which brings physical, tangible things, career related, right? Where there may need to be adjustments in other areas of life because of that as well. You could literally be more seen out in the world. You could be receiving acknowledgement. People could recognize you more. It could bring some sort of fame of some sort to some. So yeah, very interesting energy. Exciting nonetheless. And one other really positive thing about this is it could have a very profound healing effect on you, because the ruler of this eclipse, Venus, is going to be conjunct Jupiter, which is all about learning, growth, harmony in our connections with other people with this combination, as well as the opportunity to heal very deeply in your confidence to shine out in the world, Leo. So I love this for you. I think this is going to be a very auspicious time if you can make sure to really focus on your daily routines, taking care of yourself and everything like that too. You're going to be a-okay. All right, so that is all for the month of April. I hope you guys liked this new format. And I would love to hear your insights on how you resonate with the information, as well as just if you like what my new structuring is for my content. I'm really excited to continue throughout the month of breaking down some of the most important transits with you. So keep an eye out for some of those videos so we can follow along in real time. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please take just a moment to tap that like button below. It really does help, I promise you. And leave me a comment and share this with anybody you feel would benefit from it. Again, thank you guys. Peace and namaste.